Hello, lighthearted Rainbow Tribe. Here we are on a cold spring day. I actually saw some snowflakes earlier. Here's hoping that the beautiful flowering plants and the blossoming trees in the orchards are not freezing. So let us enter in below the surface, into the deeper places of our consciousness, into where the blossoming emerges from, this beautiful blossoming consciousness that we are. And let us rest there. Enjoy your moment of silence. Ah, the beautiful blooming, the spring green, the life pouring forth. I've been watching a contrast in our consciousness between the deep dynamic aliveness of our being and mortal consciousness. This that puts the kibosh on our natural aliveness, eternal life of being that we are, that's expressing as us physically. Yeah. So the recognition, the realization, the embodying of this creative, dynamic aliveness of being that emerges forth from the infinite, the purity. And in watching that we don't feel we deserve it. And that puts the kibosh on it. Because, and here's the secret, I love revealing secrets to you guys. Here's the secret. There is no one who doesn't deserve it. And boy, we can fall prey, literally, to that thought form. And we suffer thereby. We court various forms of mortal consciousness, of death, sickness, scarcity, not enough money, not enough work, not enough this, not enough that. All the different forms of, pain in relationships, the inability to be loved or to love well enough, or whatever those things are. These are all of the identified mind that is sure that it is something and that it is suffering separate and apart from God, and therefore wants the death because it's a punishment And that's the difference between recognizing that we have an error consciousness of separation that humanity is suffering from, and that there's an ego that believes it deserves punishment from separation. There isn't one. That's just a structure of consciousness that came about as a result of this mistake. So what if the original sin isn't a sin, it's a mistake? And you'd be surprised. If you were born in the West, I don't care, atheist, agnostic, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, whatever, Wiccan, Celtic, all the different formations of consciousness, you've been affected by the guilt thought. And the sin that of which we are guilty is punishable by death, and we would rather engage in that than whatever horror we think this entity that's other than us called God might have in store for us. I mean, it's really not funny, but I can't help but laugh because I've been finding it again in myself in other levels. And we can see that the world is in such a mess because this is so intolerable to us that we outpicture it. We take the devil, the evil that we are, and we put it out on the other. So if we're a Muslim, then it's the Christians that are the devil. If we're North Korean, then it's the Americans that are the devil, and vice versa. We love to play that. We love to play that out. Better that it's out there being played out, causing death, havoc, and destruction, than it's something that's alive within us. Coey! Good boy. Yes. Come here, baby. Yay. That's my good boy. Shh. Sorry for this little momentary break. We can face into where we suffer. And among the things we can be curious about is this some level, unconscious usually level, of suffering due to my belief that I'm not worthy of the love, of the joy, of the beauty, of the brilliancy, of the fullness of life that my presence, my own beingness actually is. And the remedy for that is so readily available in please forgive me all my mistakes. I did this beautiful process. I used to do it with kids. And we called it a forgiveness mingle. So I do a little talking about forgiveness. And then I have them all get up and go around to one another and look one another right in the eyes and say, please forgive me for all the mistakes I have ever made in my life, conscious or unconscious, and all the effects that they have had. And then the other person would look them right back in the eye and say, I completely forgive you for all the mistakes you've ever made in your life, consciously or unconsciously, and all the effects those mistakes have ever had. I love you, and I set you free. It's a good way to end your day. Take a few minutes to look in the mirror, or if you have a roommate or a life partner or a spouse or somebody around you, and ask for forgiveness. Just for the day, let alone a huge one that encompasses the entire life or the many lifetimes you have lived on planet. It's your choice. because even the small infractions of a day accumulate in our consciousness, and the ego that wants to remain an entity separate and apart, usurping the throne of God, which is how I got onto what it is, throne usurper of God. It gets to stay because we don't forgive. We don't release ourselves from the humanness and the errors of human consciousness that, for the most part, not only believes in, but exists, experiences a very profound and painful state of separation. And it's not real. The ego isn't real. The identity isn't real. And that's the beauty of self-inquiry. So who is it that really believes this? And you can't find an object of the mind. The identified mind will throw up things. It'll say, here, this is who. And then if you look into that, you see that's empty too. Our beautiful life that we are given is the life of natural perfection unfolding itself as everything and everyone, everywhere, without exception. And we get to discover what it is that makes it so difficult for us to accept that all the way into the marrow of our bones, to know it and live it. There are lots of people in their misunderstanding of this separation who will say that suffering is God's will. It's not. It is not. That's the usurper's will. The one that would see us punished and miserable so that it could continue to exist. Now, I recognize this is radical teaching, and this is very deep. But if we don't get it, our world isn't going to change. It needs to be spoken out loud. People need to engage with it and discover, is it true for me? Can I find what she's pointing to? Is that really real? Are there others who recognize this? And I assure you there are. Can I recognize it myself? Absolutely. If you find the one that asks that question, the one that is longing for the truth to be alive, for there to be no separation anymore, that's this love. That's the presence of being within us. It's not anywhere else. It's not a something else that we're other from. It's us. So listen to that. Let that be your guide. Love and forgive, and love and forgive, and love and forgive. And make mistakes and fail and forgive and love. That's what we get to do. So may peace be with you that comes from forgiveness. This peace that is beyond the mind, that surpasseth all understanding. And may there be peace on earth through this truth, this love and forgiveness. And may we arise in freedom, freedom from the identified mind, freedom to live as this and to give it forth without restraint or constraint or fear. And may you experience many blessings in your explorations, and share now. As I said the other day, don't wait. Share your forgiveness, share your love, share your truth. Offer out the best that is in you and get in the flow. Many, many blessings.